Hey up folks, it's BigfeetzGaming here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to start progressing in PVE content once you hit level 50. And in the background I've got some convergence footage playing. I will get around to uploading the convergence kills someday, but for now you just have to do with this. So, you've just hit level 50 on your character, you're raring to go, but you're wondering where do I start. The first recommendation would be to find a guild. You're going to enjoy this game a hell of a lot more if you're playing with like-minded players. As a lot of the group content in this game is pretty damn difficult, especially the veteran dungeons if it's your first time. Now, when you first hit 50, the thing I would recommend that you do first is to go to the daily zones, Crimson Badlands, Blighthaven, Northern Wastes, and finish them up. Not only will these zones get you a little bit of starter gear, they'll also get you a nice chunk of elder gems and work on your reputation, which we'll talk about later. Once you've done your daily zones, I'd recommend going and have a look for a good build for your class, and I'll include a link to a nice website where you can find a good load of builds below. And you'll also want to go and hunt down all the amps you need for your build. You can find where to get these from pretty easily by just searching on Google, but a good chunk of them will be on the auction house. Now, the best place to jump into at 50 would be Veteran Adventures, and I would recommend doing either War of the Wilds or Crime Lords of Whitevale, as these are two of the easiest to get gold on in my opinion. You could try the Margrave Trail or Siege of Tempest Refuge, but I wouldn't recommend it. You can quite easily spam Crime Lords of Whitevale and get a gold medal, and the epic drops from these adventures aren't the best, but they're definitely a starting point, and you should check out wildstarloot.com to see what drops from each adventure for your class. Now, the next step up from adventures will be Veteran Dungeons, which is where the difficult content starts. You don't need all that much gear for these, but I would recommend getting rid of your questing greens before you attempt dungeons. A nice set of level 50 blue gear is really a good starting point for these. Now, the two dungeons I would start with are Stormtalon's Lair and Kelvareth. Don't even think about Sanctuary of Sword Maiden for yet. I really wouldn't recommend plugging Veteran Dungeons though. And as I said before, it's better to try and find a guild or at least an organised group for them, as they aren't a walk in the park by any means. There's also another thing you can do to get yourself gear, and that is to buy or have someone craft you some gear. Crafted gear can be tailored to your class' specific stats, and as such can be extremely good, especially the Adventus gear when made using dual hybrid power core, which is the more expensive power core, but if you can afford it, it's well worth it. Whilst I'm on the topic of gear, don't worry about ruining your gear just yet until you're doing veteran dungeons. It's really not needed until you're getting ready to raid, and don't go spending all your money on the Elder Rune sets for the love of God. Now, on the other side that I want to talk about is getting ready to raid, which is a significantly longer process. God damn my English. Once you hit 50, start doing your daily zones every day until you hit the max rep with either Exile or Dominion, which is Beloved or 32,000 reputation, as you're going to need this to get your raid attunement. After hitting level 50, it's going to take you at least one reset before you can really get started on the 20-man attunement progress, as you're going to need 150 Elder Gems to buy the key that gives you the quest, and you can only get 140 per week. However, once you have the key, the grind really does begin. Firstly, do your dailies, get max rep, and that'll complete the step. And that'll complete the step after you kill a mini boss in Modern, which is the first step. The next step is going to be to do a small event, which is pretty easy, and you shouldn't have any issues with it. It's kind of like a little stealthy thing where you have to activate some consoles. Now, after this, you're going to have to get silver in every veteran adventure, which isn't too hard to do. The hardest one in my opinion is Margrave Trail, due to its length, and do bear in mind that it only counts adventures you complete after getting to this step, so you can't do them beforehand. Now, once again, you're going to do a small event after this, and then it's on to kind of the really hard part of the attunement. Now, for this step, you're going to have to complete every veteran dungeon with a silver medal or higher. You can find the silver requirements for each specific dungeon pretty easily, but as a rule of thumb, you need to be pretty fast, skip mobs where you can, and make sure to complete all of the optionals, every single one. In terms of difficulty, from lowest to highest, I would rank them Stormtalon, Kelvareth, Skullcano, and then Sanctuary of Sword Maiden, which is by far the hardest due to its length. After this, you've got a few more steps to deal with, and then it's on to the biggest grind of the attunement. Now, the steps in between aren't really difficult. You've got to kill a little boss in Malgrave. I think there's an event to do as well, but that's about it. Now, you need to find and defeat 12 world bosses. This is a royal pain in the arse, but I can offer some advice. Firstly, do Containment R12 in Malgrave, which is an event that spawns every 4 hours, and this has a pool of random bosses to choose from. Now, you can do both the Dominion boss and the Exile boss, and I'm not sure if it's 2 different bosses that spawn. That's something you'll have to look up. Secondly, do the Hellrose Bowl in Malgrave, as this is going to give you 3 world bosses. It takes a while to get this place started, but it's well worth doing. It's a nice one to do. Now, once you kill all the world bosses, that's pretty much it. Almost. All you have to do now is defeat the optional boss in Kelvereth, and then you can raid. Now, I also want to talk about Elder Gems and what to spend them on. Firstly, don't go using them on gear immediately if you intend to raid, just because it looks shiny. I did that, I bought some gear, and I replaced it rather quickly once I got into the genetic archives. The only time I would recommend using them for gear is to get your genetic archives weapon once you kill Convergence, if you make it that far. As getting a weapon from raids, it's not the easiest thing to do. They don't drop very often, I'll tell you that much. Although last week we kind of did have 2 DPS resonators drop from a mini boss, but it's the first time we've seen that happen. Yeah, but other than that, the logical things to spend them on are your amp and ability points and the extra LES setups. So, hopefully this guide has covered all the things that I would do if I were to level a new character to 50 and start on the path towards raiding again. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, leave me a comment or like this video, and I should have a guide out for Kurlak soon. See you later, folks.